Every action you take, every word you speak, and every expression you make is being noticed by someone. You may not always see them, but they are there, watching, analyzing, and forming opinions based on how you move through the world. This is not paranoia, it is reality. People are drawn to movement, and they are especially drawn to those who stand out, whether through success, failure, confidence, or uncertainty. There are those who admire you from a distance, taking inspiration from how you handle challenges, how you rise after a setback, and how you carry yourself in difficult situations. These people are quiet observers, learning from your resilience and strength. They watch to see if you will falter, not because they want you to fail, but because they want proof that it is possible to keep going despite obstacles. Then there are those who do not have your best interests at heart. They are watching for different reasons. They look for signs of weakness, moments of hesitation, and lapses in confidence. They wait for opportunities to use your emotions against you, to catch you off guard, to manipulate your responses. These people are not necessarily enemies, but they are not allies either. They thrive on the ability to predict what you will do next. And if you are not careful, you give them exactly what they need to stay one step ahead of you. Think about the times when someone has tested your patience. Maybe they made a passive-aggressive comment, doubted your abilities in front of others, or challenged your authority in a subtle but deliberate way. At that moment, you had a choice. React emotionally, proving that they got under your skin, or remain composed, making it clear that their words held no power over you. The difference between these two responses is monumental. When you react, you reveal your emotional triggers. When you remain unfazed, a sigh, a tense shift in posture, a flicker of frustration in your eyes. These small, almost imperceptible actions tell people how you feel before you even say a word. That is why self-awareness is crucial. The more control you have over your responses, the less predictable you become. And the less predictable you are, the more powerful you appear. Imagine walking into a room where people are waiting to see how you handle a high-pressure situation. Maybe it's a business meeting, a social gathering, or even a confrontation with someone who has underestimated you. The moment you step in, eyes are on you. Some are rooting for you, others are skeptical, and a few are just waiting to see if you will slip. If you show even a hint of nervousness, if you hesitate, if your voice wavers even slightly, those watching will pick up on it. They may not say anything, but they will know. Now imagine a different scenario. You enter the same room, but this time you are composed. Your movements are deliberate, your expressions are calm, and your energy exudes quiet confidence. You do not rush to fill the silence, nor do you feel the need to prove anything. You simply exist in your power, fully in control of how you present yourself. The result? Those watching are left uncertain. They can't quite read you, and that makes you powerful. People respect those who carry themselves with intention. When you are deliberate in your actions, you create an air of mystery that makes others pay closer attention. They begin to wonder what you are thinking, what your next move will be, and whether you are as confident as you seem. And here's the secret. Confidence is not about having all the answers. It's about making others believe you do. This is why careless actions can cost you more than you realize. If you speak without thinking, react without considering the consequences, or move through life without awareness, you are making yourself an open book for others to read. The less you guard your emotions, the more predictable you become. And once someone can predict you, they can manipulate you. Think about the people who have the most influence in any room. They are not necessarily the loudest, the most charismatic, or even the most experienced. They are the ones who move with certainty, who do not over-explain themselves, and who maintain control over their emotions. Their presence commands attention not because they seek it, but because their energy naturally draws people in. On the other hand, those who lack awareness of how they are being perceived often find themselves at a disadvantage. They overshare, trying to prove themselves to people who were never truly invested in them. They react emotionally, giving others power over their mood and decision making. They make themselves an easy target by allowing their actions to be dictated by external influences rather than internal control. Everything you do is being noticed. The way you respond to criticism, the way you carry yourself in moments of uncertainty, the way you handle both success and failure. People are watching. Some are waiting to see you succeed, some are waiting to see you fail, and some are simply observing to understand how they should treat you based on how you treat yourself. This is why it is not enough to be successful. You must also be strategic. You must learn to operate with an awareness of how your actions are perceived, not for the sake of impressing others, but for the sake of maintaining control over your own narrative. When you understand that your every move is being noticed, you begin to move differently. You speak with more purpose. You carry yourself with more confidence. And you stop reacting to every little thing that tries to steal your focus. Those who watch you are looking for patterns. They want to know what excites you, what angers you, what makes you feel uncertain. The moment you reveal those things without caution, you hand them the key to influencing your decision. But when you remain composed, when you do not give away your emotions so easily, when you become intentional with every action, you shift the dynamic entirely. You become the one in control. People don't just hear what you say, they feel who you are. Long before you utter a single word, your energy is already spoken. It walks into a room before you do, lingers after you leave, and influences the way others perceive you without you even realizing it. Energy is not something you can fake for long. It is the unspoken language that determines whether people respect you, dismiss you, or try to take advantage of you. Have you ever been in the presence of someone who carried themselves with an unshakable sense of confidence? They may not have spoken much, yet something about them commanded attention. They didn't need to raise their voice to be heard or explain themselves excessively to be understood. Their very presence created a shift in the atmosphere. This is the power of energy. It is not about volume, force, or aggression. It is about certainty, self-belief, and control over one's emotion. On the other hand, have you ever encountered someone whose energy felt chaotic, insecure, or needy? They might have smiled, spoken politely, or tried to impress, yet something about them felt uncertain. Their words said one thing, but their energy said another. Perhaps they were eager to be liked, constantly explaining themselves, or unable to sit in silence without feeling awkward. The more they tried to control how others saw them, the more their lack of confidence became apparent. Energy doesn't lie. You cannot trick people into believing you are confident if deep down you are filled with doubt. You cannot convince people you are powerful if your energy is restless, seeking validation from every interaction. People don't just listen to what you say. They feel the emotions behind your words. They pick up on hesitation, fear, nervousness, and uncertainty, even when you think you're hiding it well. Your energy determines how people respond to you. If you walk into a room with your head held high, shoulders back, and an air of quiet confidence, people will treat you differently than if you walk in looking unsure of yourself. This is not about arrogance. It is about presence. When you believe in yourself, when you carry yourself like someone who knows their worth, others take notice. But the opposite is also true. If your energy is rooted in insecurity, desperation, or fear, it will attract those who seek to exploit those weaknesses. People can sense when you crave approval, when you are overly concerned with how they perceive you, and when you are willing to shrink yourself just to be accepted. And those who prey on weakness will use that against you. They will test your boundaries, push you into proving yourself, and manipulate your emotions because they know they can. This is why it is critical to become aware of the energy you bring into every situation, the way you enter a room, the way you sit, the way you hold eye contact. All of it sends a message. People can feel whether you are grounded or whether you are easily swayed by external forces. They can sense if you are a leader of your own life or if you are waiting for permission to be seen. Think about those who radiate confidence without saying much. They don't force their presence on others, yet they are noticed. They don't beg for attention, yet they receive it. They don't overcompensate, yet people respect them. That is because their energy is aligned with certainty. They know who they are, what they stand for, and what they bring to the table. They do not need external validation to feel secure. This level of presence cannot be faked. It must be built from within. It starts with shifting your internal dialogue. If your mind is constantly filled with self-doubt, that energy will leak into your body language, your voice, and your interactions. If you second-guess yourself, hesitate, or seek reassurance from others, it will show in the way you move. Confidence is not just about thinking highly of yourself. It is about removing the need to seek approval altogether. Energy is not just about confidence, it is also about boundaries. When your energy is weak, people will test you. They will push your limits, disregard your needs, and see how much they can get away with. But when your energy is firm, when you carry yourself with a quiet but undeniable strength, people respect your space. They instinctively know where the line is drawn, not because you told them, but because your presence communicates it. Have you ever noticed how some people demand respect without ever raising their voice? They do not need to prove themselves, argue, or defend their position excessively. Their energy sets the tone for how they will be treated. That is the level of presence you must cultivate. It is not about forcing people to respect you. It is about embodying the type of energy that makes it impossible for them to do otherwise. But to reach this level, you must first strip away the energy of desperation. You must stop chasing approval. Stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. Stop over-apologizing for taking up space. You must develop the ability to sit in your own power, to be comfortable in your own silence, and to trust that your presence alone is enough. Most people do not realize how much of their energy is given away in small, seemingly insignificant ways. Over-explaining, seeking constant reassurance, changing their opinions to fit in, avoiding eye contact, shrinking themselves in the presence of others. All of these behaviors reveal uncertainty, and those who notice it will respond accordingly. But when you shift your energy, everything changes. You will notice that people start to listen when you speak, not because you are louder, but because your presence demands attention. You will notice that people stop questioning your decisions, not because you explain them better, but because you carry yourself as someone who knows what they are doing. You will notice that the wrong people start to feel uncomfortable around you, not because you push them away, but because your energy no longer entertains their games. Energy is not just about what you say, it is about what you radiate. It is about what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you exude before you even speak. Those who learn to master their energy master the way they are perceived. Those who move with certainty shape the way the world responds to them. There is a reason why silence is powerful. It is not just the absence of words. It is a strategic move, a conscious decision, a tool that few truly understand. In a world where everyone is eager to speak, explain, defend, and prove themselves, silence stands out. It disrupts the expected flow of conversation, unsettles those who rely on predictability, and forces others to reveal more than they intended. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They rush to fill it, assuming that if they do not speak, they will lose control of the situation. They mistake silence for weakness, when in reality, it is one of the most potent forms of power. Those who are skilled in controlling their silence never reveal too much, never explain themselves unnecessarily, and never give others the satisfaction of an emotional reaction. When someone provokes you, they are looking for a reaction. They want confirmation that their words have reached you, that they have affected your emotions, that they have successfully disrupted your inner balance. The moment you react, whether through frustration, anger, or even defensiveness, you have given them what they wanted. You have confirmed their ability to control your state of mind. But when you respond with silence, you disrupt their expectations. You deny them the emotional fuel they seek. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to confront their own thoughts. When you say nothing, it creates space for the other person to keep talking, to over-explain, to second-guess themselves. It shifts the balance of power in any conversation. Suddenly, they are the ones trying to fill the void, trying to make sense of your lack of response, trying to interpret what your silence means. And in their efforts to decipher your thoughts, they often reveal more than they intended. People who cannot handle silence are often the ones who are trying to hide something. They rely on noise, on fast explanations, on excessive talking to distract from what they do not want others to notice. But those who understand the power of silence do not need to explain themselves. They do not rush to clarify their position, to justify their actions, or to defend their decisions. They let their presence speak for itself. Silence forces others to fill in the blanks. It allows you to observe, to study, to understand people in ways that words often obscure. When you are silent, you can see who is patient and who is restless, who is confident and who is insecure, who is genuine and who is trying too hard. You begin to notice things that others miss: the nervous fidgeting, the unnecessary justifications, the way people reveal their weaknesses through their own discomfort. In confrontations, silence is a weapon. When someone tries to provoke you, they expect resistance. They expect an argument. They expect engagement. But when you remain silent, you deny them the satisfaction of control. They become frustrated, confused, uncertain. They begin to question whether their words had any effect at all. And in their frustration, they expose their true intentions. In negotiations, silence is a tactic. Those who talk too much often reveal their weaknesses without realizing it. They offer too much information, make unnecessary concessions, and give away their true position. But those who understand the value of silence know that the less they say, the more power they hold. They allow others to speak first, to reveal their thoughts, to show their hand. And when they finally do speak, their words carry more weight because they are deliberate, intentional, and carefully chosen. In personal relationships, silence reveals truth. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop justifying, you see who values your presence and who only responds to your pursuit. You learn who reaches out when you go quiet, who notices when you withdraw, who respects your space, and who only engages when they need something from you. Silence exposes the real dynamics in any relationship. Most people are afraid of silence because it forces them to face themselves. It removes the distractions, the excuses, the constant noise that allows them to avoid their own thoughts. But those who embrace silence gain clarity. They learn to listen, to observe, to understand things at a deeper level. They become less reactive, more strategic, more intentional with their words and actions. The most powerful individuals in any room are rarely the ones who speak the most. They are the ones who listen, who pause before responding, who understand that silence is not emptiness but a presence in itself. They do not waste words, they do not seek approval, and they do not feel the need to explain themselves to those who are not worthy of an explanation. Silence creates mystery. It makes people wonder what you are thinking, what you know, what you are planning. It forces them to pay closer attention because they are not receiving easy answers. When you stop giving away your thoughts so freely, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is a powerful position to be in because it keeps others on edge, never quite sure of what you will do next. Many underestimate the impact of silence because they confuse noise with strength. They believe that dominance comes from speaking louder, arguing longer, or proving their point repeatedly. But true power is never in excess. It is in control. The one who controls their words, their reactions, their energy is the one who ultimately holds the upper hand. When you embrace silence, you shift the way people perceive you. You become someone who does not waste time on meaningless arguments, who does not give unnecessary explanations, who does not react just because someone expects you to. You move with a level of confidence that does not seek external validation, and that alone changes the way people treat you. Silence is not about weakness, nor is it about avoidance. It is about knowing when to speak and when to hold back, when to reveal and when to observe, when to engage and when to let others reveal themselves. It is about mastering the art of restraint, of control, of measured responses that make every word you do choose to speak carry more significance. Those who do not understand silence often fear it. They feel the need to fill every gap, to justify their presence, to prove something with every word. But those who master silence use it as a tool to command respect, to maintain control, to observe the world without being easily read. The less you say, the more people listen when you finally do. Manipulation thrives on uncertainty. When someone wants to control you, they do not always do it through direct commands or obvious force. Instead, they create doubt, confusion, and hesitation within you. They make you question yourself, your worth, your perception of reality. They distort your sense of certainty so that you begin to look to them for guidance, approval, or validation. Once they achieve this, they no longer have to force you into submission. You do it yourself, willingly, without even realizing it. It often starts subtly. They may praise you one moment and criticize you the next, keeping you off balance. One day they shower you with attention, the next they withdraw, making you feel like you did something wrong. They may downplay your achievements, telling you that what you did was not that impressive or that others have done better. They may make jokes at your expense, then tell you that you are too sensitive if you react. This creates a cycle where you begin to doubt whether your emotions are valid, whether your instincts can be trusted, and whether your own perspective is accurate. The more uncertain you become, the more you seek clarity from the very person creating the confusion. They become the source of your validation, your sense of direction. They convince you that they are the only ones who truly understand you, the only ones who can help you make sense of things. But what they are really doing is eroding your independence. They are making you dependent on them for emotional stability, for reassurance, for a sense of self-worth. And the moment someone else holds that kind of power over your emotions, they control you. This is why it is so important to recognize when someone is trying to manipulate you through confusion. The first sign is inconsistency. When their words and actions do not align, when they shift the narrative depending on what benefits them, when they make you feel uncertain about where you stand with them. The second sign is invalidation. When they dismiss your feelings, belittle your experiences, or make you doubt your own reality. The third sign is control. When they try to influence your decisions, shape your opinions, or make you feel guilty for wanting to act independently. One of the most powerful defenses against manipulation is clarity. When you are clear about who you are, what you believe, and what you stand for, it becomes much harder for someone to manipulate you. Clarity creates a foundation that cannot be easily shaken. It allows you to recognize when someone is trying to distort your perception, when they are using subtle tactics to create doubt. But clarity is something that must be cultivated. It does not come from external validation. It comes from deep self-awareness. It requires you to sit with your thoughts, to trust your instincts, to analyze situations without being swayed by emotional manipulation. It requires you to ask yourself, what do I truly believe? What do I truly want? what feels right to me, regardless of what others say. The more you develop this inner certainty, the less susceptible you become to outside influence. Another way to protect yourself from manipulation is to establish firm emotional boundaries. This means recognizing that not everyone's opinion deserves space in your mind. Just because someone questions you does not mean you have to justify yourself. Just because someone tries to make you feel guilty does not mean you have to accept that guilt. Boundaries are not just about what you allow others to say to you. They are about what you allow yourself to internalize. Many people fall into the trap of over-explaining, over-apologizing, or over-justifying their decisions because they feel the need to be understood. They believe that if they just explain themselves enough, the manipulator will finally see their perspective and stop trying to control them. But this rarely happens. Manipulators do not seek understanding, they seek power. They are not looking for logical explanations, they are looking for ways to make you second-guess yourself. When you stop explaining, when you stop seeking their approval, when you refuse to play their game, you take away their ability to manipulate you. Silence becomes your shield. Indifference becomes your armor. They expect you to react, to seek their reassurance, to prove yourself to them. But when you do not engage, when you hold firm in your own reality, they lose control. Manipulation also thrives on emotional reactivity. The more reactive you are, the easier you are to control. If they know that certain words, actions, or behaviors can trigger you, they will use them against you. They will push those buttons repeatedly, knowing that you will respond in a predictable way. But when you master your emotions, when you do not allow others to dictate how you feel, you become untouchable. This is not about suppressing emotions. It is about mastering them. It is about recognizing when someone is trying to provoke you, when they're trying to pull you into an emotional reaction, and choosing not to give them that power. It is about responding instead of reacting. It is about taking a step back, analyzing the situation, and deciding what serves your best interest rather than acting on impulse. Detachment is another key to overcoming manipulation. When you detach emotionally from someone's approval, their attempts to control you lose effectiveness. If they cannot make you feel guilty, they cannot manipulate you through guilt. If they cannot make you feel insecure, they cannot manipulate you through fear. The less emotionally invested you are in their validation, the less power they have over you. Some people manipulate not because they hate you, but because they fear losing control. They need to feel superior. They need to feel in charge. They need to know that they can influence others, but that is not your burden to carry. You do not exist to make others feel powerful at the cost of your own autonomy. You do not need to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's version of reality. The greatest freedom comes from self-trust. When you trust yourself, when you trust your instincts, your perceptions, your decisions, you do not need external approval. You do not need others to confirm what you already know. And the moment you stop seeking that confirmation, you become immune to manipulation. There will always be people who try to create doubt in your mind, who try to distort your reality, who try to make you second guess yourself. But the real question is, will you let them? Will you allow someone else to dictate how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you move through life? Or will you choose clarity, confidence, and control over your own mind? Energy never lies. Every action, every word, every silence carries energy. And when someone is watching you closely, tracking your every move, it's not just their eyes that you feel, it's their energy pressing against you. You sense it in the shifts in conversation, in the way they respond differently when you take certain actions, in the subtle way they adapt to your decisions, almost as if they are trying to stay one step ahead. This is not coincidence. This is deliberate observation, and often it's done with a purpose far beyond simple curiosity. Some people study you not because they admire you, but because they seek to predict you. They want to understand how you think, what makes you tick, where your weaknesses lie. They watch to see what excites you, what angers you, what makes you hesitate. And once they have that knowledge, they begin to use it in ways that serve their interest. It may start as small tests, comments thrown into conversations just to see how you react, moments of silence to gauge whether you will fill them with explanations or insecurity, subtle provocations to determine what will shake your composure. They gather this data not randomly but strategically, because the more they know, the more control they have. They may notice which words make you light up and which ones shut you down. They pay attention to how you respond to disappointment, how you handle conflict, whether you seek external validation or operate from inner certainty. And if they find an area where you seek approval, where you feel insecure, or where you are emotionally invested, that becomes their entry point. They will not attack you directly, at least not at first. Instead, they will weave that knowledge into interactions in ways that seem harmless on the surface, but are calculated beneath. When someone observes you this closely, you may start to feel unsettled without fully understanding why. You may feel a sense of pressure, as if you are being subtly guided towards certain behaviors or reactions. They may make you feel like they know you better than you know yourself, like they have an uncanny ability to predict your thoughts or decisions. But the truth is, they have simply been paying attention while you have been living freely, unaware that your movements are being analyzed. This is why it is crucial to become unpredictable. Predictability is a form of vulnerability. When people know exactly what you will do, how you will react, and what drives your emotions, they can use that information against you. They can place you in situations designed to trigger specific responses, leading you down a path of their choosing without you realizing it. But when you become unpredictable, you reclaim power. You disrupt their ability to manipulate, to preempt, to control. Unpredictability does not mean being erratic or reckless. It means developing the ability to act outside of expectation, to make decisions based on your own internal compass rather than external influence. It means being comfortable with change, with mystery, with silence. It means not allowing yourself to be easily read, not reacting in ways that can be anticipated, not allowing others to assume they have figured you out. Silence is one of the greatest tools of unpredictability. Many people feel uncomfortable with silence and rush to fill it with explanations, justifications, or reassurances. But when you master silence, you become unreadable. People will wonder what you are thinking, how you feel, what you are planning. They will search for clues in your facial expressions, in your body language, in the subtle ways you carry yourself. And the less you reveal, the more uncertain they become. Another form of unpredictability is making decisions that do not align with past patterns. If you have always responded to certain behaviors in a predictable way, change that response. If you have always explained yourself when questioned, stop explaining. If you have always reacted emotionally when provoked, respond with calm indifference instead. Each time you disrupt an expected pattern, you shift the balance of power. The person observing you can no longer rely on their previous knowledge of your habits. They are forced to recalibrate, to question, to doubt their ability to read you. This also applies to the way you handle emotions. Emotional predictability is one of the easiest ways for others to gain leverage over you. If they know that certain words will trigger you, they will use them. If they know that withholding attention will make you chase, they will withdraw. If they know that playing the victim will make you feel guilty, they will act accordingly. But when you stop reacting as expected, when you take control of your emotional state, they lose that power. Detachment is another essential skill in maintaining unpredictability. When you're too emotionally invested in how others perceive you, in whether they approve of your choices, in whether they understand you. You become easy to read. But when you detach, when you stop seeking validation, when you act from a place of inner certainty rather than external expectation, you become a mystery. You move in ways that are not dictated by others' expectations, and that makes you powerful. The key to all of this is self-awareness. You must know yourself deeply to prevent others from using your own nature against you. You must understand your triggers, your habits, your vulnerabilities. You must recognize when someone is studying you, when they are using information to their advantage, when they are trying to guide you down a path of their choosing. And most importantly, you must develop the ability to move beyond their expectations, to act not based on their predictions, but on your own internal guidance. Being unreadable does not mean being closed off. It means being intentional. It means choosing what to reveal, when to reveal it, and to whom. It means controlling your own narrative rather than allowing others to define it for you. It means understanding that not everyone who watches you does so with good intentions, and that your greatest strength lies in your ability to remain a step ahead. Awareness is your greatest defense. When you are aware of what is happening around you, when you see the patterns, when you recognize the subtle shifts in energy, you become untouchable. Most people walk through life unaware of the silent battles being waged around them. Battles of influence, of power, of control. They move on autopilot, reacting rather than observing, assuming that what they see on the surface is all there is. But the truth is, beneath every interaction, every conversation, every relationship, there is an undercurrent of unspoken motives. Some are harmless, but others are calculated, strategic, and intentional. There are people who do not want you to see the truth. They want you to be distracted, emotionally reactive, caught up in the details. Rather than looking at the bigger picture, they want you to question yourself rather than question them. They want you to focus on proving your worth rather than realizing you never needed to. And the moment you wake up to this, the moment you shift from being reactive to being observant, everything changes. Observation is a skill, and like any skill, it must be developed. Most people listen to respond, not to understand. They watch for entertainment, not for insight. But if you train yourself to observe, truly observe, you begin to see what others miss. You notice the pauses in conversations, the tension in body language, the shifts in tone. You start to recognize when someone's words do not match their actions, when their energy contradicts their expression. You see who is genuinely supportive and who is only pretending to be. You see who is trying to guide you and who is trying to manipulate you. When you are aware, you do not fall for deception easily. You see the games being played long before you become a piece in them. You recognize the subtle ways people try to steer your emotions, plant seeds of doubt, or shape your perception. You begin to notice patterns, how certain individuals always seem to create confusion, how they twist words, how they shift blame, how they manipulate through guilt or silence. And once you see these patterns, you can no longer unsee them. You become immune to their influence because you are no longer operating from blindness, you are operating from clarity. One of the most powerful things about awareness is that it allows you to respond instead of react. Reacting is impulsive, emotional, and predictable, but responding is controlled, intentional, and strategic. When you react, you give others control over your emotions, but when you respond, you maintain your power. If someone wants to provoke you and you react exactly as they expected, they win. But if you observe, process, and then choose your response deliberately, you disrupt their influence over you. This is especially important when dealing with people who are studying you closely. The more aware you become, the more you realize that some people are not interacting with you, they are analyzing you. They are waiting for patterns to emerge, for weak spots to show, for moments of emotional vulnerability that they can use to their advantage. They are watching how you carry yourself, how you respond to stress, how you handle praise and criticism. And if you are not aware, you may unknowingly hand them all the information they need to manipulate you. The best way to counter this is through controlled unpredictability. When you are aware of how you are being watched, you gain the ability to decide what you reveal and what you withhold. You choose which emotions to display, which thoughts to share, which reactions to give. You become intentional with your words and actions, ensuring that nothing you do can be easily predicted or used against you. You create an air of mystery, making it difficult for anyone to gain leverage over you. Awareness also allows you to detach emotionally from situations where others may try to manipulate you. Many people fall into traps of guilt, obligation, or emotional entanglement because they are not fully aware of how they are being influenced. They feel responsible for others' emotions. They seek to please. They over-explain. They give in to pressure. But when you are aware of how these dynamics work, you no longer fall for them. You recognize when someone is trying to make you feel guilty for their benefit. You see when they are using flattery to gain favor. You understand when they are playing the victim to shift accountability. And because you see it clearly, you no longer feel compelled to participate. One of the most powerful aspects of awareness is the ability to see through illusions. People are not always who they pretend to be. Some wear masks projecting an image of kindness, wisdom, or strength, when in reality they are driven by selfish motives. Others downplay their intelligence, pretending to be harmless while secretly gathering information. But when you train yourself to see beyond the surface, you recognize the truth. You see the insecurities behind manipulation, the desperation behind manipulation, the fear hidden behind aggression. You understand that not every smile is genuine, not every word is sincere, not every action is selfless. When you become truly aware, you stop allowing yourself to be emotionally controlled by others. You stop seeking approval. Stop explaining yourself to those who are not truly listening. Stop wasting energy on those who only take from you without giving in return. You become selective with your time, your words, and your presence. You protect your peace, knowing that not everyone deserves access to your energy. Awareness is not about paranoia, it is about clarity. It is not about assuming everyone has bad intentions, but about understanding that not everyone has good ones. It is about seeing things as they are, not as you wish them to be. It is about trusting your instinct, listening to the energy in a room, recognizing when something feels off. It is about knowing when to engage and when to walk away, when to speak and when to remain silent, when to trust and when to observe from a distance. Most people do not take the time to develop this level of awareness. They go through life accepting things at face value, assuming that words always align with intentions, that relationships are always what they appear to be. But those who cultivate awareness move differently. They do not get caught up in drama. They do not fall for deception. They do not waste time on people who drain them. They see, they understand, they navigate the world with a level of wisdom that makes them impossible to manipulate. When you are aware, you are no longer a pawn in someone else's game. You do not get caught in emotional traps. You do not fall for calculated kindness. You do not allow others to dictate how you feel. You move with purpose, with control, with an unshakable sense of self. Because once you wake up, once you truly see, you can never be controlled again.